Today we'll be talking about colors and their importance in creating or analyzing art. The nature of color. Our eyes can perceive certain wavelengths of light, and every color is a different wavelength. White light is a combination of different colors. In the 17th century, Isaac Newton demonstrated this by setting up a prism so that sunlight would shine through and subsequently split into many colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Shorter wavelengths give us cooler colors, while longer wavelengths give us warmer colors. For example, violet is around 400 nanometers, while red is between 620 to more than 700 nanometers. Mixing colors. The combination of colored light that creates white light is called additive synthesis. We have three primary colors of light: red, green, and blue. If we mix two primary colors of light, we get the secondary colors of cyan, magenta, and yellow. There are complementary pairs of colors of light that can create white light: red and cyan, blue and yellow, green and magenta. Pigments are colored materials that can have mineral, animal, plant, or synthetic origins. When mixed with a liquid, they create paints or ink. Mixing pigment colors is called subtractive synthesis. The primary pigment colors, which can't be made by mixing other pigment colors, are magenta, cyan, and yellow. The secondary pigment colors, which can be made by mixing two primary colors, are orange, violet, and green. The complementary pigment colors, which can be mixed to create a neutral color, are magenta and green, blue and orange, yellow and violet. Properties of color. Let's look at saturation, hue or tone, and value. Saturation refers to how pure a color is, how intense it is. When something is highly saturated, the color is very vivid. When something is not very saturated, it looks closer to gray. If an image has no saturation, it will look like a black and white movie. The hue or tone is the property that gives a color its specific name: blue, orange, green, etc. You could also say shade or tint when referring to the hue of something. Value refers to the lightness or darkness of a color. You could also refer to the value of a color by talking about its brightness or luminosity. The color wheel can be a useful tool for helping us see which colors work nicely together. For example, there are complementary colors. This means they are across from each other on the wheel, and that due to their contrast, being opposites of sorts, they pair well together aesthetically. For a more subtle look, one could choose to use analogous colors. This means you choose a primary color and two colors beside it. This makes for a more subtle combination of colors. Paintings, photographs, comics, and movies all use color in very intentional ways to make the story or feeling they are trying to present clearer to the audience. For example, in movies, colors are often used to express certain themes. Red, for example, can show love, passion, violence, danger, anger, power. It basically has a very intense feeling to it. Pink can show innocence, sweetness, femininity, playfulness, empathy, beauty. It's often associated with girly things, although it can also represent all kinds of different things. Orange can give off this feeling of warmth, sociability, friendliness, happiness. It can give an exotic feel or a youthful feel as well. Yellow can sometimes give off this feeling of madness, meaning craziness or sickness, insecurity or an obsessive feeling, or somebody being naive like a kid. Green gives off sometimes this feeling of nature being natural, because we find green a lot in the trees and the grass. It can also give off this idea of immaturity, or on the other hand, corruption. It's often a symbol of evil acts or evil people, like in the Harry Potter movies, or in the example you can see on the screen here of the Disney villain. It can also give off this ominous feeling and darkness and danger. Blue often gives the impression of something being cold, or someone being in isolation. Somebody being cerebral, they're thinking a lot, they're caught in their thoughts. It can be melancholy, passivity. It can give off a feeling of calmness. There are lots of ways to use colors. Purple isn't seen too much in nature, so it seems sort of strange. We don't see it too much out in the world. It can give off this feeling of fantasy. It can give us the impression that something is ethereal or illusory, mystical or ominous. So those are just a few key concepts about color and why it is important in art.